Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Bandhu Mui Savadhana Mate Bandhu Mui Savadhana Bandhu Mui Savadhana Mate Bandhu Mui Savadhana Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya jai Jahar prasade bhai e bhavatoriya Krishna prapti hoy jahan hoite Krishna prapti hoy jahan Krishna prapti hoy jahan hoite Krishna prapti hoy jahan Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Yakya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitete Koriya Arana Koriyo Mane Asha Arana Koriyo Mane Arana Koriyo Mane Asha Arana Koriyo Mane Shri Guru Charane Rati Eishe Yutama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Eishe Yutama Je Prasade Pure Sarva Asha Je Prasade Pure Sarva जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व आशा जे प्रसादे पूरे सर्व चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्मे जन्मे प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशितो दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविदा विनाशयति प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविदा प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अविदा विनाशयति प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते वेद गा जहाँ रचरितो वेद गा जहाँ रचरितो वेद गा जहाँ रचरितो वेद गा जहाँ रचरितो श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु आधम जनर लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवाना लोकनाथ लोकेरा जीवा जय आह प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया आह प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद आह प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे पद छाया आह प्रभु करो दया देह मोरे हे व्यास गुशु त्रिभुवाना हे व्यास गुशु त्रिभुवाना हे व्यास गुशु त्रिभुवाना हे व्यास गुशु त्रिभुवाना जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा श्रीला प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमः विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशता जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा जय श्री कृष्ण जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Anita Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacarya Stotar Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanar Vrinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki, नामाचार्य शिला हरिदास ठाकुर की, प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की, श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की, श्री वृंदावन धाम की, श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की, पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की, कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की, बृहत मृदंग ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
The lotus feet of our spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. I bow to his lotus feet with a great awe and reverence. By his grace, one can cross the ocean of material suffering and obtain the mercy of Krishna. My only wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth. Attachment to his lotus feet is the perfection that fulfills all desires. He opens my darkened eyes and fills my heart with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. From him ecstatic prema emanates. By him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame may spread all over the three worlds. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yash Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Sai Gaura Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Just finding the verse. So the verse today is 3.12 Bhagavad Gita. Istan Bogan Hi Vo Deva Istan Bogan Hi Vo Deva Dasyanti Yagna Bhavitaha Disyanti Yagna Bhavitaha Tair Datan Apradayaibhyo Tair Datan Apradayaibhyo Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Istan bhogan hi vo deva dasyanti yagna bhavitaha tair dattan apradayobhye yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Istan bhogan hi vo deva dasyanti yagna bhavitaha tair dattan apradyebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Istan bhogan hi vo deva dasyanti yagna bhavitaha tair dattan apradyebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Any volunteers? Istan bhogan hi vo deva Anyone else? Istan bhogan hi vo deva Nityanti yagna bhavitaha apradyayebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. Ishtan bhogan hi vo deva dasyanti yagna bhavitaha naidvaktan pradayebhyo yo bhunkte stena eva saha. All right, moving on. Ishtan, desired. Bhogan, necessities of life. He, certainly. Va, unto you. Devaha, the demigods. Dasyanti, will award. Yagna, bhavitaha, being satisfied by the performance of sacrifices. Tehi, by them. Dattan, things given. Apradaye, without offering. Ebhyaha, to these demigods. Yaha, he who. Bhunkte, enjoys. Stenaha, thief. Eva, certainly. Saha, he. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yagna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. Purport. The demigods are authorized supplying agents on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Therefore, they must be satisfied by the performance of prescribed yagnas. In the Vedas, there are different kinds of yagyas described for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what the personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the persons concerned, different types of yagyas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely, according to different qualities. For example, the meat-eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature. And before the goddess, the sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those who are in the modes of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. But ultimately, all yagyas are meant for the gradual promotion to the transcendental position. For ordinary men, at least 5 yagyas, known as Pancha Mahayagya, are necessary. One should know, however, that all the necessities of life that the human society requires are supplied by the demigods, agents of the Lord. No one can manufacture anything. Take, for example, all the eatables of human society. These eatables include grain, fruits, vegetables, milk, sugar, etc. For the persons in the mode of goodness, and also eatables for the non-vegetarians, like meats, none of which can be manufactured by men. Then again, take for example heat, light, water, air, etc., which are also necessities for life. Some of them can be manufactured by the human society. None of them can be manufactured by the human society. Without the Supreme Lord, there can be no profuse sunlight, moonlight, rainfall, breeze, etc., without which no one can live. Obviously, our life is dependent on supplies from the Lord. Even for our manufacturing enterprises, we require so many raw materials like metal, sulfur, mercury, manganese, and so many essentials, all of which are supplied by the agents of the Lord, with the purpose that we should make proper use of them to keep ourselves fit and healthy, for the purpose of self-realization, leading to the ultimate goal of life, namely liberation from the material struggle of existence. This aim of life is attained by performance of yagyas. If we forget the purpose of human life and simply take supplies from the agents of the Lord for sense gratification and become more and more entangled in material existence, which is not the purpose of creation, certainly we become thieves, and therefore we are punished by the laws of material nature. A society of thieves can never be happy because they have no aim in life. The gross materialist thieves have no ultimate goal of life. They are simply directed to sense gratification, nor do they have knowledge of how to perform yagyas. Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yagya, namely the Sankirtan yagya, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namonobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Khadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakalmalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. So, today we are continuing our series, 2-week series, on Srila Prabhupada and the start of ISKCON. Because in a week's time we have the 60th anniversary of our International Society for Krishna Consciousness. ISKCON Ki Jai. So, to start off with the verse, in the translation, if I read it again, in charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So here, Krishna is promoting demigod worship. Isn't that strange? Krishna is saying he's promoting worship the demigods. But we know for a fact that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So why is Krishna promoting the demigods? Because he's on the topic of sacrifice. We have yajnas. The most common yajna is the fire yajna that we have. And often, when we're offering in the yajna, we offer to many demigods. If you know the actual science of it all, you invite different demigods. Vaishnava Nama Agni, that is a demigod. He is fire. Varun Dev, he's a demigod of the water. So you have to give back to the demigods. But we know, in schools, what do they teach about Hinduism? How many gods are there? Does anybody know? 33 million. That is a crazy number, right? 33 million demigods. Oh, sorry, gods. But the thing they don't teach is that actually there's not 33 million demigods. There's 33 million gods. There's 33 million demigods, which is not out of the ordinary, People outside from Abrahamic faith, they can't understand this, Demigods, 33 million, If you scroll on Instagram or TikTok, and there's so many people that preach their own religion, and they try to blaspheme or put down any other religion, they'll say, Hinduism, how many gods? You don't know who to worship. Okay, never mind. 330 million. 330 million. But it's not so different, because if you look at the Abrahamic faiths, they also have demigods. They have angels. In Christianity, they have which angel? Most famous one? Michael. I've never heard of that one. Angel. Angelos. Okay. And what's the most famous one? Michael's the most famous one. Okay. In Christianity, which one? Gabriel, though, no? Gabriel's the most famous. Everyone's heard of Gabriel, right? He's the one that said Jesus will come. So there's demigods. And even if you study Islam or Judaism, there are angels. And the different angels, they're in charge of different things. One angel is in charge of the rain. One angel is in charge of the harvest. One angel is doing this and that. So what is God doing? Isn't God supposed to be doing everything? No. Everybody knows in every religion that God, He's not meant to be hardworking. He's not meant to be breaking a sweat, managing everything. How many prayers does He have to listen to a day? 8 billion prayers a day? How many? He's got already a big job. There's a movie. What's that movie called? There's a Hollywood movie called Bruce Almighty. It's a famous Hollywood movie where one person, he gets all the powers of God one day because he keeps blaspheming God, and he's having a very hard life and he's saying, God, your job is so easy, I wish I was like you. And then eventually God comes and He says, all right, for 1 week you do my job. And there's a few funny scenes in there where he has to answer by email 8 billion prayers, and he's managing, and it's so much, and he's spending his entire day, Anyways, so God isn't meant to be working so hard. So that's why there are demigods, because demigods can do it for them. A boss in a business, they don't do everything. They employ people to do it. So Krishna is doing the same thing. So we don't have 330 million gods. We have 330 million demigods. And Krishna is promoting worship of them. But then Prabhupada clarifies, what is Krishna actually promoting? He's not promoting that you worship them per se, but He's giving them the position, that the demigods are in charge of the harvest. So therefore, something to do is give back to them, be thankful, be grateful. So therefore, you see in people's houses, at the front of the house, they put a Ganesh deity, and different things are there. But we know that Krishna is the master of all of them. If we know that Krishna is the master of all of them, then we worship Krishna. If demigods are the servant of Krishna, then the demigods will be happy if we serve their master. So it works like that. But at the same time, Prabhupada is saying that it's not bad, demigod worship. But there are levels of worship. So he's saying, I was just thinking, how inclusive is it? How inclusive is it? So if you want nothing to do with Krishna, all right, do something that's a little bit godly. Serve the devotees of Krishna. So you see some devotees in India, they worship Kali. It's all right, Kali is a devotee of Krishna. She's a demigod. So you worship. And what do you worship with them? They're meat eaters. So even those that are doing very sinful things in the mode of ignorance, there is a place in the Vedic culture for you. So it's so inclusive, You're not just chucked out if you don't do something. There is a place for you. Even if you're doing the most sinful of sinful things, there is a place for you. But it works like a stepping ladder. Once you worship Kali, maybe you'll get to a higher platform. And then when you're worshipping that demigod on that platform, you get to a higher platform. And eventually that staircase goes all the way back to Krishna. So that's what demigod worship is for. So we shouldn't be, demigod worship, Back in the day in ISKCON, we used to be like that. But we should be grateful. But at the same time, don't get too engrossed in it. You go to a temple, they're worshipping demigods, pay your respects. Just as a senior devotee comes into the temple, on Wednesday we have a senior devotee, Shruti Kirti Prabhu, Prabhupada's disciple, coming in. And how would we offer respects? We offer them great respects, offer a garland to them, we offer pranams, ask for their blessings. Ask their blessings for what? So that they can get Krishna. So the demigods are there. You can pray to them for all wealthy things and material things. They'll do that. But they'll be even more happy if we pray to them, you give me the love of Krishna that you have. That is what they'll be happy for. So Prabhupada is clarifying in here. So the yagyas are a way of gratitude, that you take some sacrifice for the demigods. But even then, Krishna, there's the famous pastime of Govardhan. All the residents of Vrindavan are thanking Indra once a year, and they're doing Indra yagya. They're cooking nice things, and they're doing a massive yagya. So many days of festival, a whole week of festival, just to thank Indra, because he brings the rain. They're all farmers, so they need the rain. So they worship the god of the rain, Indra. But Krishna sees they're getting a little bit too much into it, And Indra is getting a bit of an ego, right? He's getting a bit of an ego. And now Indra is thinking that I am God. He is not thinking like an actual demigod anymore. He's thinking, I am God. They all worship me. So even demigods can get persuaded in that way. So they're devotees, they're not gods, they're demigods. And what does Krishna do? In the Bhagavatam, there's a whole dialogue of Krishna with the Brahmanas of Vrindavan, the qualified PhD Brahmanas of Vrindavan. And he's arguing with them, we don't need to worship Indra. And so strangely, Krishna takes the position of an atheist. He's saying atheistic arguments, somewhat, not exactly, but somewhat atheistic arguments. Why should we worship Indra? It's his job. You can either, if you have a worker in a store and you be nice to them, and if you be mean to them, they'll still do the same thing to you, right? If I'm being paid to serve dishes out in a restaurant, and if the person receiving that is very thankful, oh, thank you so much, you're working so hard, they'll be happy, you'll be grateful for them, and they'll give you the dishes. But if you're really mean to them, it's like, come on now, you start snapping your fingers, and you're very mean to them, they're still paid to do the same thing, right? You'll get the dish, you'll get your food. So Krishna is saying, it's his job. Vishnu has given him this job. So whether we thank him or not, he still has to give it to us, So actually, he might not be so grateful. And then he's saying we should worship Govardhan. Govardhan is where our cows eat, it's where our crops grow, it's where everyone lives so happily. Our whole civilization is around Govardhan. So let's worship Govardhan. So then all the devotees are convinced. This 5-year-old boy, is saying, let's do it. How old was Krishna? 7. 7 years old. So anyways, yajna is very important. And the last bit of the purport, the last sentence, Srila Prabhupada says, Lord Chaitanya, however, inaugurated the easiest performance of yajna, namely the Sankirtan yajna, which can be performed by anyone in the world who accepts the principles of Krishna consciousness. There is yajna happening every day. It's been happening for thousands of years. People are doing the worship of the deities, people are doing the fire sacrifices, but in this Kali Yuga, the most important one is Sankirtan Yajna. And that is what we are doing. It's backed up in the Bhagavatam. Out of the entire Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam there is there as the summary of the entire Vedas. Vyasadeva had written all of the Vedas, but he still wasn't happy. So his guru pops in, Narad Muni pops in and says, how's it going? Are you writing? Yeah, it's going well, but I'm not so happy. I don't feel like I've achieved. But he's written the entirety of the Vedas, All tattva, all truth is there, but I'm not so happy. Is there something missing? I thought I'd be happy from this. And Narad Muni says, you missed out one thing. You haven't written about Krishna. You should write about Krishna. So then Vyasadeva writes the whole of the Bhagavatam, and the Bhagavatam is a summary of all of the Vedas. All of the potency, all of the sweetness of the Vedas has been juiced and has been put into the Bhagavatam. All of the essences of all the Vedas have been put in the Bhagavatam. And even if you get all of the Bhagavatam, all of the 10th cantos, all the 12 cantos, the last verse of the Bhagavatam glorifies what? Sankirtan. All of the Bhagavatam, the last verse, the very last verse that Vyasadeva wants to leave his audience off of, the crescendo of the 12 cantos is Sankirtan. So it's very important for us to do. And Lord Chaitanya, it was there, the Bhagavatam was there, but 5,000 years later, people weren't taking to it. Why weren't they taking to it? They were, there were some problems there. So then Lord Chaitanya comes, Krishna himself comes, and he says, let me do it myself. These guys, they're not doing what I'm saying in the Vedas. So I have to come back and let me show you myself. And he comes down as a devotee and he performs Sankirtan, and Sankirtan Yajna starts spreading across the world. His devotees, the associates of Mahaprabhu, spread it across India. And then Mahaprabhu says that in every town and village across the entire world, Sankirtan will go on. But it's going to happen. It's not going to happen now, but it's going to happen. And he says that my Senapati Bhakta, My Senapati Bhakta will come. Anyone knows what Senapati means? What does Senapati mean? Huh? Commander, chief. Huh? The chief commander, the grand soldier. It's a military word. Senapati means military world. Who here has watched military films, you know? They'll say, Senapati, you know? I am the Senapati. It's the grand general of the entire army. My Senapati of the Sankirtan movement will go all over the world and spread my Sankirtan movement, the Krishna conscious movement. Who was that? Has it happened yet? It's happened. Before our very eyes, 60 years ago, Srila Prabhupada, the Senapati Bhakta of Lord Chaitanya, spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And Mahaprabhu had prophesied this 500 years ago. Can you imagine? So how special Srila Prabhupada is. You know? Sometimes we don't give Srila Prabhupada the glorification he needs. You know? It's hard to, because it's such a great amount. He's the Senapati Bhakta of Krishna. You know. So yes, and in a week's time, we'll be celebrating those 60 years, all the work that Srila Prabhupada has done. So last week, Radha Mohan Prabhu spoke about some of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. Does anybody remember? We'll do a summary and then we can continue until the part we went. Everybody here was here last week, so. Prabhupada pastimes that we covered last week. Yeah, he did a Mission Impossible. Jaladuta. Heart attacks. 2 heart attacks, yes. Yeah, he had some paper, that's all. Yeah. So last week, did you cover Srila Prabhupada's childhood last week? No. Anyways, we went to childhood because Prabhupada's, pastimes are very vast. There's so many glorifications every single day. But last week, Radha Mohan Prabhu spoke about Srila Prabhupada's family life. He was a physician. He had his own, pharmacy. Sold his own medicines. One time, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they had to go to jail. And he had to tell Srila Prabhupada, and they thought Srila Prabhupada was going to start shouting at them, you have to go to jail, you rascal, what kind of person is in my society? You have to go to jail. And so said, Srila Prabhupada, I have to go to jail. And he's expecting a big commotion from Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, I have to go to jail. And Prabhupada said, that's okay. Krishna was born in jail. And then Prabhupada asked, why do you have to go to jail? What crime did you commit? And he said, Prabhupada, before I used to sell drugs. I used to sell drugs on the street, And Prabhupada said, that's okay. I used to also sell drugs. Because he was a pharmacist. So he would sell, medicines. So he was a pharmacist. And when he was young, around my sort of age, he met his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta, and Radha Mohan Prabhu explained the wonderful pastime. That place is still there where Srila Prabhupada had met his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta, Ultadanga Junction Road. It's the first Gaudiya Math, the first temple that his guru had started. Ultadanga Junction Road in Calcutta. And it's a wonderful place, it's now ISKCON's, it's ours now. So you can go there and it's got such a powerful atmosphere that if you go to the balcony is where Srila Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta. And there's all these buildings around, a wonderful view. And it's a wonderful balcony with a little tent, wooden kind of pergola. And Bhaktisiddhanta was sitting. And the whole pastime happened. You are an intelligent young man. You should go to the English-speaking world and preach the message of Lord Chaitanya. And Prabhupada saying, I haven't even met you yet, Prabhupada was paying his obeisances as a, greeting. Before any word had come, Bhaktisiddhanta had given him his mission. Because Bhaktisiddhanta could see who Prabhupada was, even before he became a full-time devotee. Prabhupada took it to heart. He took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And he had family life. And 40 years Srila Prabhupada spent preparing himself. 40 years. Some of us haven't even been in the movement for 40 years, Prabhupada spent 40 years just preparing himself. Every day. Prabhupada, eventually, when his family was taken care of, he left, he went to Vrindavan, and for 6 years he spent in Vrindavan even more intensely preparing himself. In some of the Brajabasis, the residents of Vrindavan, would come to Srila Prabhupada's classes, and Prabhupada would give classes in English, in Vrindavan. Nobody in Vrindavan knew English. But Prabhupada started giving classes in English. And nobody understood why he was speaking English. Nobody was understanding him. But then, after the devotees came from America, they realized Prabhupada's come back, and that's why he was speaking English, because he was preparing to go to America. Prabhupada mentioned that, but Prabhupada, he had the hustle and tussle with, what's her name? Sumati Murarji. He had the hustle and tussle, as Sita was saying, you're an old man, you're going to die if you go there in America. But no, Prabhupada didn't give in, and he went on the Jaladuta, had 2 heart attacks, and for months and months and months, no devotee association. Can you imagine? Some of the devotees in the temple, they've asked me, what do we do if we live somewhere where there's no devotees? It's horrible to live without devotees. Prabhupada himself came from Vrindavan, where every child, every old man, every person, even the trees are devotees, even the animals are devotees. One time when Prabhupada went to Vrindavan with his disciples, one of the disciples started smacking the mosquitoes on him. And Prabhupada told him off, don't do that. Those mosquitoes are residents of Vrindavan. You shouldn't do that. They are more holy, they're more pure than you. What are you doing? So Prabhupada was in a place where every living thing was a pure devotee of Krishna. And he went on a ship where they were serving meat. And there were no devotees. And they were there for a mode of passion, bit of business. And he had 2 heart attacks. Just with 40 rupees, a bit of cereal, and his Bhagavatam. That's all he had. And that's where we left off last week. So then, Srila Prabhupada arrived at the Boston Harbor in America. And outside the window of the Boston Harbor, Prabhupada saw Boston, America, the Holy Land, What do they call it? The American dream. Thousands of people from all across the world, they travel to America because they want the American dream. Full of business, full of passion, full of mode of ignorance. There was smoke in the sky. People were wearing dark clothes, on the harbor. And he's looking at this place, and he's now just realizing, this is the place my Guru has sent me. This is the place. It's going to be a tough job. And there, when the Jaladuta is starting to go towards the harbor, it's a slow process, it's a boat, it's a massive boat, and it starts going, and he's seeing everything. And there, it's hitting Srila Prabhupada a little bit harder. This is the place my Guru has sent me. And there, on the Jaladuta, Prabhupada wrote his own bhajan. Sometimes we sing bhajans, right, by the acharyas. We have our entire acharya line. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has hundreds of bhajans that we sing, very famous. You don't hear many from Srila Prabhupada, but there, before Prabhupada started the movement, he wrote his own bhajan, his own meditation. And it's a wonderful kind of insight into the Vaishnava's mind. A bhajan is there to get a snapshot, a picture of what the Vaishnava, the devotee, is thinking. And it's something that we can inspire to be like. So if I get the bhajan is called Markine Bhagavata Dharma. So it's a very long bhajan. I'm just going to say a few points. So I'll read the English. Prabhupada is saying, he's praying to the Lord, my dear Lord Krishna, you are so kind upon this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. Now you can do whatever you like to me. Prabhupada's singing this and praying this whilst he's looking out of this small ship window. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why would you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of nature, ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, but they have no taste for transcendental message of Vasudev. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. Prabhupada's thinking, these people are so downfallen. How are they going to realize the most pure message of Lord Chaitanya? And he's saying these people, they think they're happy. You see it even today. People, they think they're happy, but they're not. One of my mentors, they went to a university program. And, So one of my mentors, they went to a university program, and he was preaching to them, and he was saying, the world, everyone thinks they're happy, but they're not. And one student, who was a bit of an antagonist, he wanted to go against people's words, he was a bit of an arguer. So he said, you're saying people aren't happy. I'm happy. And then my mentor said, you're not happy. And he said, no, I'm happy. I said, no, you're not happy. He said, no, I'm happy. And he started getting really angry. And they started going back and forth argument, and this guy was getting more and more angry, saying, I'm happy, I'm happy. So people aren't happy. They think they're happy, but they're not. But I know your causeless mercy can make everything possible, because you are the most expert mystic. How will they understand the mellows of devotional service? Oh Lord, I am simply praying for your mercy so that I will be able to convince them of your message. I'll fast forward a bit. It's a nice bhajan. And finally, the most famous part of this bhajan is when Prabhupada is ending off this bhajan, he's saying, oh Lord, I'm just like a puppet in your hands. So if you've brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance, O Lord. Make me dance as you like. Prabhupada is in complete surrender now. He's had his little bit of a thought, how am I going to do this? And now, by the end of the bhajan, he's realizing, doesn't matter, my Lord, I completely surrender to you. I'll be your puppet, and you make me dance. Make me dance, my Lord, as you like. How much surrender you must have. So we aspire to have the surrender that Prabhupada had, like that. So anyways, Prabhupada gets off the harbor, he gets off the Jaladuta, and he's in Boston now. He doesn't know, he recalls, I didn't know whether to turn left or right. He's planned to go to America, and now he doesn't know what to do. Can you imagine? You go to America, you don't know anyone, you've got 40 rupees in your pocket, you don't even know where you are in America. And you're thinking, I don't know whether to turn left or right. So he made some friends with the captain of the Jaladuta, and then the captain had some shopping to do in Boston. So he just went with the captain. And whilst he was chanting his rounds, he followed the captain and got a little bit familiar with American culture. And then eventually he directed himself, his sponsor that had sponsored the tickets for the Jaladuta was called Mr. Agarwal. And he was living in Pennsylvania, in a place called Butler, in like a small town, maybe even quieter than Stoke-on-Trent. And that was where, they weren't devotees, but Prabhupada was friends with Mr. Agarwal's father. So naturally, he knew my father, so I sponsored him, Mr. Agarwal was saying. And Mr. Agarwal was married to a American lady called Sally. And these people were in complete American culture, eating meat, not worshipping the Lord. They had no Krishna consciousness in their life. And Prabhupada was tagging along with them. Prabhupada came in the house. They were very accommodating. Actually, I forgot what I wanted to do. I'm going to show some pictures. Can we connect this? All right. I'm going to show some pictures because it's a little bit nicer. Instead of just me talking, you can see Prabhupada at the time. So bear with me. Yeah. Are you disconnected? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to see, you can come a little bit closer. So, Srila Prabhupada was accommodated in Sally Agarwal's home. And he noticed that their life was completely different to what he was living like. If you imagine Srila Prabhupada, he was vegetarian since birth. His parents were great devotees of Krishna. They would go to the temple all the time. They worshipped their own deities. They had such a nice Krishna conscious life. From birth till his old age, Srila Prabhupada was surrounded by Krishna. There's a famous statement by Prabhupada where he said, there was never a moment in my life where I did not think about Krishna. He always had Krishna around him, and now he's in America, and he's in the middle of nowhere in Butler, Pennsylvania. And these people are accommodating him. And Srila Prabhupada noticed that their fridge was filled with meat items, beef, pork, everything, meaty, salami, everything. And for a person that has never lived around meat, it was such a shock for Srila Prabhupada. So, instead of saying, can you please not do that, he had to live here for some time. So, he suggested to them, you know what? I will cook for you. Whilst I'm here, I will do all the cooking. You buy the groceries. I'll tell you what to buy. And he cleared out the fridge. And he says, I'll cook for you. So every day, Prabhupada stayed here for about a month, and Prabhupada cooked for the entire family. And Prabhupada, even afterwards, after Prabhupada had left, this family had such a nice relationship with Prabhupada. He was like their father. And he would play with their child, like anything. Look at Prabhupada's smile here, so happy with child, Little did they know that they had in their house the guru of the world, the person that brought Krishna consciousness all across the world, living in their own home, playing with their own child. So Prabhupada was like a father for them. He would play with the kids. He would talk to them about Krishna consciousness every now and then, ask about their lives, and he would cook for them personally. But after some time, about a month later, Prabhupada realized in Butler, Pennsylvania, somewhere even more deserted than Stoke-on-Trent, he realized the Krishna consciousness movement is not going to spread here. So he was thinking, what shall I do? And Prabhupada said, I'm going to go to New York. New York at the time, and still today, is one of the biggest cities in the entire world. Whatever someone does in New York, the entire world copies. Even if you go to India, everyone follows Western culture. Whatever's happening in America and Britain, people just copy. They're wearing trousers, I'm going to wear trousers. If they have phones, I'm going to wear phones, Everything just adopted from American culture and British culture, even if you look today, So, Prabhupada said, New York is the most influential place in the world, let me go there. So Prabhupada went to New York. And this is Prabhupada in New York. Now, at the same year that Prabhupada went to New York, it was still today, the most historic, coldest winter of all time in New York. The coldest winter. Up until then, Prabhupada had never seen snow in his life. Prabhupada was in the hot weather of Kolkata. He was used to that. But now, Prabhupada had to bear the coldest weather of all time in New York. And Prabhupada, when he recalls going through New York, he was saying, I was just like a vagabond, roaming through the streets, not knowing where to go. How will I spread the mission of my guru? And he was roaming here and there. I'll go back a bit, give a bit of detail. There wasn't even a place for Prabhupada to stay. For one whole year, Prabhupada was roaming around New York, but no luck. Can you imagine? One whole year of being by yourself, no devotees, no support, trying to spread Krishna consciousness, and no luck. Not even a little bit of luck. No progress towards your mission. One whole year. It said that Srila Prabhupada, he would often go to the harbor in New York or Boston, and because there was no luck for a whole year, every week Srila Prabhupada would go to the ticket desk at the harbor, and he would ask, when is the next ship going back to India? And they would say, Swamiji is going back in a week's time. Okay? And Prabhupada would leave. And he wouldn't get the ticket. And he'd come back next week and says, when's the next boat going? Can you imagine the amount of, it's just disheartening, no? One whole year, you're by yourself. Prabhupada tried. He tried to go to the affluent places in New York, At the time, many gurus were going to New York, Vivekananda is a famous one. Krishnamurti. And they would go to America and they would try to preach whatever belief they were believing in, All of these gurus, so-called gurus, saying God is dead, God is no more, God is everywhere, I'm God, we're all God, all these, God, so many different philosophies of who is God and where is He. And they would try to preach in the affluent areas. So all the rich people in America, in New York, they would try to invite them in their homes. So they would stay in such nice, affluent places, French drawers, nice mirrors, And that's where they'd stay. Prabhupada tried it in the yoga studios, but nothing really stuck. So then he realized, they're all taken care of, they're not going to come. So maybe I should go to the most poor place of New York. The Bowery, Skid Row. Bowery at the time was like, I don't know how to give what's the UK equivalent of their Bowery? It's not Stoke. Stoke's okay. But anyways, yeah, the Bowery was where all of the crackheads would go. All of the hippies, all of the meth heads, Everybody high on drugs with long hair, stinking like anything, All these random hippies would come. That is where Prabhupada targeted. Prabhupada went there and he tried a few things. He couldn't even find a place to stay. It said that Prabhupada used to travel from office building to office building, and he would stay in the offices. That is where he would sleep, that is where he would cook, that is where he'd survive. In office buildings. Can you imagine sleeping on a desk in an office building? That's what Prabhupada was doing. And nothing was working. And eventually, a loft. He was staying in a loft. And some followers started to come. They started to see Prabhupada was a very nice gentleman. And one follower, who now we know as Mukunda Maharaj, he became a sannyasi. Mukunda Maharaj came. And he helped Prabhupada to rent a storefront. And, I should actually mention. So whilst Prabhupada was staying office building to office building, there was sometimes he had to share with some hippies. An old man, very saintly, he had to share with these drug addicts. And one time he was sharing with this one person who was okay, but one night Prabhupada was typing. And eventually this hippie, this drug addict, went completely crazy. And he chased Srila Prabhupada with a knife onto the street. He was chasing Srila Prabhupada, this 70-year-old saint, across the street in New York. And Srila Prabhupada realized, I can't go back there. So he lost everything. That is what Prabhupada had to put up with. One time Srila Prabhupada got all of his belongings just stolen. The door was broken into. He came back, his typewriter, his Bhagavatams, all of his belongings were stolen. And he still stayed in America. He didn't go back to India. Can you imagine the amount of torture Srila Prabhupada went through in that 1 year? So eventually, Srila Prabhupada started staying in a loft that wasn't so easy to access, and one of his followers, someone that was supporting him, a young boy called Mukunda, eventually he became, he found a place for Srila Prabhupada to stay. 26 2nd Avenue. 26 2nd Avenue, Ki. That was the first ever temple in our Krishna conscious movement. A very small storefront on 26 2nd Avenue where it was just $100 rent for the storefront and a little apartment just next to it for $80. So $180. And they were thinking, how are we going to afford this? Prabhupada had no money. These hippies had basically no money anyways. How are we going to afford it? Prabhupada said, try, And they started staying. They didn't even know how they would pay the next month's rent. They thought, let us at least pay for 1 month rent and then let's see how it goes. Has anyone else took a risk like that before? Put your hand up if you've done that. This is the surrender that Srila Prabhupada had. If we saw in the bhajan, Prabhupada was just relying on Krishna. Just relying on Krishna. He had firm faith. One time, when ISKCON became big and Prabhupada was leading ISKCON all over the world, there was a big building that the devotees wanted to buy, not buy, but build. They wanted to build a huge temple. Prabhupada wanted to build this huge temple. And this devotee, who was kind of Prabhupada's accountant, was saying, Prabhupada, we don't have enough money. How are we going to do it? And I said, no, it'll happen. Prabhupada, we don't have enough money. And for the next few days, this devotee kept bringing this up. Prabhupada, where are we going to get the money? Eventually, Prabhupada just lost it at this devotee. You rascal! You don't think Krishna will provide? Do you not have faith in Krishna? Have I not taught you enough? After days of saying this, So Prabhupada just lost his head because he had complete faith in Krishna. If Krishna wants it to happen, money will come. Money is what? It's some paper. It's some numbers on a computer. It'll come. Do you not have faith in Krishna? The money came, The devotee realized, maybe I should have some faith, A modern example, Gaurang Prabhu, who is a big preacher in our movement, Gaurang Prabhu, he's got like 2.5 million followers on Instagram, if that's worth any value. So he's the director of a wonderful eco-village in India called Govardhan Eco-Village. Millions of, if you put a value on it, it's probably millions of dollars. And they've made a mini Vrindavan there. And Radhanath Maharaj was, he's kind of the mentor for everybody there. And they wanted to do some more improvements. They wanted to create some temples, some new rivers, and make it like Vrindavan. And it would have cost hundreds of thousands of pounds, dollars, At the time, Govardhan Eco-Village wasn't that big, Now it's becoming bigger, millions of people come. But Gaurang Prabhu was really concerned. Maharaj, we don't have enough money for this, And he kept saying this, and again, in the same way, Radhanath Maharaj says, he got a little bit angry as well, and he said, money will come. Make the plans first, and Krishna will provide. And it happened. Now if you look at GV, it's thriving. So in the same way, this is our principle, to take risk. If you take risk for Krishna, then Krishna will provide. Nowadays, we don't have this mentality of taking a risk for Krishna, In fact, taking risks for Krishna is one of the most potent ways of living, Back then, the devotees were just living on risk, Devotees, if you think about when they came to, okay, let's take our own example in England, UK. The devotees, at the time, they wanted Krishna consciousness to spread in England. And Prabhupada said, okay, how are you going to do it? We don't know, Prabhupada, we'll try. They came to England, they had no hotel, nowhere to stay, they were living in cardboard boxes in factories. The devotees in England. Not Prabhupada, the devotees. And somehow, they got a connection with the Beatles. And then, from cardboard boxes, they were staying in a massive mansion owned by John Lennon, at the time, the biggest pop star in the entire world. From cardboard boxes to mansions. Can you imagine? So that risk-taking mood is, we have to cultivate that. That is what Krishna will be very happy by. Because when we take the risk and we rely just on Krishna, then Krishna thinks, my devotee, he's just relying on me now. If he's just relying on me, I should show myself. So this is the mood that Prabhupada had. So yes, Prabhupada was in 26 2nd Avenue, and they had the storefront. And before Prabhupada had got the place, it was a gift shop. Anyone knows the name of the gift shop? Matchless Gifts. And the devotees were thinking, Prabhupada, we could put a logo there, Krishna Conscious Center, Krishna Center. And Prabhupada was saying, no, let's keep it the same thing. Because in fact, in this gift shop, we will be giving matchless gifts. So even today, we still have that building. It's under ISKCON. And continuing, we are giving matchless gifts, even in this temple and all the temples across the world. And Prabhupada, with the devotees, they started coming. And Prabhupada started giving classes and kirtans every day, evening and morning. And hippies started coming, 30, 40, around maybe this number, a little bit more. People were coming. And Prabhupada, every single day, would cook, clean, give class, do kirtan, hand prasadam out to everybody, and take care of everybody. Himself, one person, 70-year-olds, he would do everything. And none of them would ask, do you want a hand with that? Every day, for weeks and weeks and weeks and months. Prabhupada was doing everything. And eventually, one person came up to Prabhupada and noticed that he was doing everything and said, Prabhupada, do you want a hand with that? And Prabhupada said, I was waiting for someone to say this. And eventually after that, everybody was serving. Devotees started to form, they were doing kirtans, and the Krishna conscious movement started to grow. The seed was planted in the Western world. And eventually, the devotees started hearing about Krishna. These Westerners that had never heard about Krishna in their life. And they heard about Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya, Sankirtan, music, dancing in the streets. So then without Prabhupada asking them to do so, the devotees started doing kirtan. And eventually the kirtan became so wild, so filled with ecstasy, so filled with bliss, that devotees started walking out of the street with the instruments. And on the street, on the pavement, the devotees started dancing and chanting. And that was the first time the Sankirtan movement went out on the street. And eventually Prabhupada was so happy with this, because they didn't know that that's actually what you do, They didn't know that that's what Sankirtan is, out in the street, dancing and chanting. Nowadays you see it. Yesterday we went to the Liverpool Rath Yatra. We had hundreds of people dancing and chanting in the street. That's what our culture is. And And then Prabhupada said, no, what you did is right. Let's do it more. So then the devotees, Prabhupada organized, let's do an outside kirtan. And one of the biggest parks in New York is called Tompkins Square Park. And there, even when the movement was still small, only a handful of people, Prabhupada went to Tompkins Square Park. Actually, I've forgotten to do the slideshow. That's Matchless Gifts back in the day. You can see a little bit, not so much, but there's a picture of, you can't see so much here, but there's a picture of the Panchatattva. So we have behind our shop a picture of the Panchatattva. This was one of the first ever pictures of the Panchatattva done by a devotee. You can't see so much, but what to do? So this is where the Krishna consciousness movement started. And Matchless Gifts, it started to grow. Devotees started to do kirtan on the streets. And then Srila Prabhupada decided, let's do it. Let's take it out on the street. So then in Tompkins Square Park, Srila Prabhupada sat under a tree, one simple tree in Tompkins Square Park, and he sat down with a bongo drum, because back then they had no mridangas. We have mridangas, you can get it easily shipped over, right? Prashad Prabhu's ordered a mridanga already for his son. You can get it so easily, but back then they had nothing. So, a bongo drum. Srila Prabhupada carried a bongo drum and he just started chanting. No organization, no posters, no advertisement, no Instagram ads. We did an Instagram ad for our 4-hour kirtan next week. he just started chanting. And eventually, from a crowd of a handful of people, hundreds of people from all across New York started forming around Srila Prabhupada. And they started dancing. These Westerners that had never seen kirtan in their entire life had started dancing and chanting. And this kirtan, you can see Prabhupada with the bongo drum here, sitting down under the tree, and see all of these hippies that had never seen Krishna consciousness before, had never seen bliss like this before, started dancing. No one told them to. Here's Srila Prabhupada with the bongo drum. And this, my dear friends, was the start of the Krishna consciousness movement. After this, there was nothing but up. Srila Prabhupada had gone through 1 year of torment, 1 year of torture, such difficulties. And Krishna saw that. And after that, the movement started expanding like wildfire. The Krishna consciousness movement became a household word. Hare Krishna became a household word. The Krishna devotees were seen in movies in Hollywood. They were like the local people, Even if you go on YouTube today and if you type in Hare Krishnas in the movies, there's a lot of videos. Comedians used to make jokes about the Hare Krishnas. You see them everywhere. They were in. We saw a movie called. I can't remember. It's an old movie, a very famous comedy, a cult classic. But there, it was in an aeroplane, and they had. It's a very comedic movie, a lot of comedy, and they had a bunch of people. And 2 of the passengers in the aeroplane that you were stuck with for the entire movie were devotees, So they were everywhere, the devotees. Even in movies today, you'll see them. So because of this is where the movement started, under this tree. And if you go to this same place in Tompkins Square Park, if you go to the same tree, there is a plaque on that tree. And the tree is called the Hare Krishna tree. So 60 years later, it's there because that is where the Krishna consciousness movement started. So here we are, 60 years later, still going strong. When Srila Prabhupada had ended his pastimes on the earth, there was 108 temples all across the world. But now we have 1,200 and growing. Every year, you pretty much see a new temple pop up in the world. In India, there are so many temples. In India, it's going like wildfire, Every few months, if you go on Instagram, you'll see a new temple opening, But even all across the world, America, they're opening. Just recently, they opened a new temple. I forgot the name. Huge temple, bigger than our temple. Russia, they're opening new temples. And even in UK, 4 years ago, a new temple started here. So, the movement is still growing. So, for some reason, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking there's a big significance about trees in our movement. Trees are actually very auspicious things. Trees are living entities. They give shade to you, and they also protect you from the sun. I think there's even a glorification of trees in the Bhagavatam, because they're serving you always. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trinadapi sunichena, tarorapi sahistuna, amanina manadena kirtanaya sadahari. One of the processes of being a better devotee is that you be as tolerant as a tree. Trees are very important. If you look in our movement started from what? The Hare Krishna tree, right? And now that is a place of pilgrimage. And even if you look in our Lord Chaitanya's movement, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita is described, there is a thing called the Chaitanya tree. I didn't have a picture of it. But yes, yeah. So, even in our movement, there is a thing called the Chaitanya tree. The Chaitanya tree is it's more of a metaphorical thing. it describes our entire lineage. As you see, we have family trees. Everyone knows what a family tree is. Yes? Yeah? So even in our movement, we have the Chaitanya tree. And it's said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a beautiful description of this tree. Lord Chaitanya, Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, is the trunk of this tree. And the Panchatattva, the devotees of Lord Chaitanya, are its branches. And from these branches, different societies, different branches and different sub-branches are forming. And this family is going in all different directions. It's this huge tree. And from this tree, the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading. Srila Prabhupada said that our ISKCON movement is one of the branches of this tree. How nice, This tree is so special. And you probably notice another tree that we have that is forming, is growing in our temple. This is the tree of devotion that is started to form. It's not finished. It's a new painting in our temple. Because in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's also described, in everyone's heart, there is something called the Bhakti Lata Bij. The Bhakti Lata Bij is the seed of devotion. Because you don't just get Krishna consciousness like that. You have to nurture it. You have to grow it. You have to water it. So all of us, we have this seed of devotion. Bhakti Lata Bij. Bij means seed. Lata means creeper. So it's a creeper of devotion. But we were thinking for our temple, all of us are here and we are trying to grow our Bhakti Lata Bij. But it can be so that we grow this Bhakti Lata Bij, and if we all come together and we all water this tree, then it can turn into not just a creeper, not just a seed, not just a seedling, but a huge, gracious fruit tree. And on that tree, the fruit of devotion grows. So that is what we're trying to do in this temple. One other thing about a tree, there's so many trees in our pastimes, right? In Vrindavan, there is a very, very famous tree called Ter Gadam. And there, Lord Krishna, he would climb the tree, and he would sit in the branches, and he would play his flute. And from the flute, all of the cows that were grazing in the forest, they would start to come. So that was the way he would call the cows. He would sit in the tree and play his flute. And now it's a place of pilgrimage. There are many trees in our movement. And they're all places of pilgrimage. And to end off, there's a little note. Today is also an auspicious day. If you look in our Vaishnav calendar, it's the appearance day of a devotee called Vrakeshwara Pandit. Now, he's not such a talked about devotee, but he's an associate of Lord Chaitanya. And he's said to be a very intimate associate. Now, every devotee, they have something special about them, right? How to say, for example, one devotee can be very into singing. One devotee can be very into giving classes. Now, Vakeshwara Pandit is very famous for dancing. He was one of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's most intimate devotees. And there are pastimes of him dancing like a wildfire. He would look like a flame. His dhoti would spin and he'd look like a flame burning. He would spin and spin and spin. And there's even a pastime of him dancing in a kirtan for 72 hours non-stop. He was so much in ecstasy when he danced. 72 hours. Now, similar to this, there was a 72-hour kirtan in Lord Chaitanya's time. It's a very famous pastime. The devotees went out on the streets and they started doing kirtan. And millions of people started to form in this kirtan. It was on the banks of the Ganges. There were so many people that people were nudging shoulder to shoulder and they weren't able to dance. So the devotees, so many devotees formed, devotees started climbing to the trees on the banks of the Ganges. And in the trees, the devotees would hold on to the branches and they would start to dance in the trees. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? No. Everyone's nodding along, sleeping now. This happened. This is history. Lord Chaitanya's devotees, for this 72-hour kirtan, they climbed into the trees and they started dancing in the trees. And on the branches, they used to balance with toe to toe, dancing. And it looked like the trees were dancing. Because the branches and the leaves, they started going up and down, up and down, up and down. Because there was such a nice kirtan going on. So today you can still go to these trees in Navadvip. So trees are very special. So next week we have our 4-hour kirtan, our 60th anniversary. And in a similar way, our movement started from a tree. So we are also going to decorate the temple with a few trees. This tree and a few other trees are going to form next week. And we're going to honor Srila Prabhupada's legacy, his achievements, and our history. This is our history. Whose history? Our history. This is our history. Our pastimes, our ancestors, our family members. So we're going to honor this next week with the 60th anniversary. Because of Srila Prabhupada, we are here today. Because of Srila Prabhupada, we have access to the most sublime, most beautiful, sweetest way of life there is. It's not so easily accessible. Some people can't even fathom this movement. But because of Srila Prabhupada, we have it. It was there in India, but even in India it's not that famous. But even if we came here and it wasn't here, we wouldn't have it. So, with that, we want to honor Srila Prabhupada next week, and we have many programs coming up. On Wednesday, we have Srila Prabhupada's own very intimate disciple who has massaged Srila Prabhupada's own body, has spoken with Srila Prabhupada and taken very intimate association with Srila Prabhupada. Shruti Kirti Prabhu coming on Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. If you want to excel in your Krishna consciousness, if you want your seed of devotion to grow, I urge you, come on Wednesday. It's after working hours. It's an opportunity that is really not to miss. To get a devotee like this. Nowadays, devotees like this, they're going now. We have Srila Prabhupada's, the connection we have with Srila Prabhupada is through his disciples. And nowadays, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciples said that this decade is going to be the decade of tears. Because Srila Prabhupada's disciples, they started leaving the planet. They're getting old now. They're in their 70s and 80s. And on Wednesday, we have the opportunity to take the association of a very intimate associate of Srila Prabhupada. So if you have time, actually, if you don't have time, make time. Make time, and you can hear about Srila Prabhupada's pastimes with Shruti Kirti Prabhu from his own experience. And on Saturday, we have the 60th anniversary 4-hour kirtan. We have devotees coming from all across the country, doing kirtan in the same way that the movement started with, kirtan under a tree. We're going to continue 60 years later with a kirtan under a tree and honor Srila Prabhupada in this way. And on Sunday next week, we have a very special devotee coming, Rajabi Hare Prabhu, who is a wonderful preacher. He's spoken at Google. He's spoken at so many different institutes across the world, very into speaking about the mind and Krishna consciousness. And he's also a devotee that it is something not to miss. So, concluding, what we're trying to do in this temple that Srila Prabhupada has given us is an opportunity to grow our Bhakti Lata Bij, our little creeper of devotion. So if you really want to grow this creeper of devotion, please take part in all of these festivals. These are there not for us, but for you. Srila Prabhupada did not do any of this for himself. He could have stayed in Vrindavan by himself, enjoying Krishna's pastimes, for the rest of his life. But what did he do? He took so much torment in his life just to give this to us. If we don't take advantage of this, we won't be grateful to Srila Prabhupada. If we want any way to show our gratitude to Srila Prabhupada, we have to grow our own seed of devotion. So with this, we say, Srila Prabhupada ki! Thank Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All right. Okay, now we'll have kirtan. And as today is the appearance day of Rakeshwara Pandit, we don't want to make anybody dance, but we have to dance. So please today dance with as much energy you have. Maybe spin, maybe jump, and maybe dance side to side. But please try today dance. If you're not a natural dancer, Srila Prabhu, I want you to put some moves on today. Okay? Not to call you out, but some of us were dancers, some of us were not. What to do? But let's try and dance today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Right. We can all be stood.
Srila Prabhupada ki Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Jai Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Prabhupada. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Loudly please, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा गोकुलानंद राधे. जय राधा मदन मोहन राधे. जय राधा श्याम सुंदर राधे. जय गौर निताय, जय गौर निताय, जय गौर निताय. जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद. जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद. जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय श्रील प्रभुपाद. निताय गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल. निताय गौर हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल. कलियुग पावन युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन के श्रील प्रभुपाद की.
जयम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिवजकाचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस अभय चरणार वृंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की. नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की. प्रेम से कहो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की. श्री वृंदावन धाम की. श्री नवदीप मायापुर धाम की. पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की. गंगा माई की, जमुना माई की, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी महारानी की. कलियुग पावन श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की. बृहत मृदंग ट्रांसेंडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की. ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्रसादम डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
नमस्ते नरसिंहाय. प्रह्लादलाददायिने. हिरण्यकाशीपूर्वक्षः शीलातन्कानकालाये इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहाय बहिर्नरसिंहो हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमदिं चरणं प्रपद्ये तव करकमलवरे नाकामद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमल नाकामद्भुतशृङ्गा दलिता हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गा केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज श्री नरसिंह भगवान की जय।
महाप्रसादे गोविंदे नामो ब्राह्मणी वैष्णवे स्वल्प पुण्यवृतं राजन् विश्वासो नैव जायते शरीरार विद्याजा जड़ेन्द्रियता है कान जीवे फेले विषय सागरे तार मध्य जीवायती लोभो मायसु दुर्मति ताके जेता कठिन संसारे कृष्ण बड़ा दयामय कोरी बार जीव जाय सप्रसादन दिलो भाई शयनामृत पाओ राधा कृष्ण गुण गाओ प्रेमेरा कोशी चैतन्यताय जय निमाय जय निताय जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Shri Radha Gokulanand Mahaprasadam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, I welcome you all to our Hare Krishna Sunday Feast program. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Balram already did announcements for the next week. I'm just reminding you again. Okay. So this Wednesday, Shruta Kirti Prabhu is coming. He's a Prabhupada's personal servant, served Prabhupada for many years. So he'll be coming to Stoke on Wednesday. The program will start at 7 o'clock. And he'll be narrating all the wonderful stories of Srila Prabhupada. Then on Saturday, we have the 4-hour Kirtan to celebrate ISKCON's 60th anniversary. And on Sunday, His Grace Vraj Bihari Prabhu is coming to our temple for a Sunday Feast program. Now, Krishna has such a wonderfully arranged these programs. So, as Balram said in his class, I don't think any of you ever met Prabhupada. Have anybody met Prabhupada? The only Prabhupada's memory is through the video, some pictures, his books. There are only very few devotees left right now in the world who actually associated with Prabhupada. They actually served Prabhupada. They knew Prabhupada so closely. So Shruta Kirti Prabhu is one of that very initial devotee where actually ISKCON was practically unknown in the world. He came forward and served Srila Prabhupada. So very few devotees are left in this world who can give the first-hand experience and can narrate to us. So this Wednesday we can see in the past. Yeah. So 60 years back how ISKCON started, how Prabhupada started everything. So we can see in the past on Wednesday. On Saturday we'll be in the present. All our ISKCON devotees from Stoke will be getting together here. And we'll celebrate the ISKCON's present, which is the Nama Sankirtan. And on Sunday, we'll see how the next generation is taking forward Prabhupada's movement into the next century, next decade. So there are many, many Prabhupada's followers all over the world. Prabhupada was just himself who spread the Hare Krishna movement all over the world. But now his followers, they are going all over the world to the places that we can't even think of. And now the whole world is taking very seriously Hare Krishna devotees. This Prabhuji Braj Bihari Prabhu is author of many books. He gives talk at Google, at Microsoft, at many Fortune 500 companies. He's being invited there. And they hear from them, how they can improve their life. And how Prabhuji, is taking, he is one of many devotees who are taking our movement forward in future. So this next week, it is very important for us. And if you give your time out, it will also help you also to understand bhakti in a much better way. So this Wednesday, I request all of you to please do come. an associate first hand with Srila Prabhupada's very intimate devotee, His Grace Shrutakirti Prabhu. So I repeat again, Wednesday, Shrutakirti Prabhu, we see in the past. On Saturday, we'll have 4-hour kirtan starting at 4 o'clock. Saturday, 4 o'clock, we are having kirtan here. And it'll go till about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. We know where to start, we do not know where to end. So we'll start at 4 o'clock. And then on Sunday, we'll see in the future. So please do come all these 3 days. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now I don't need to announce, we have a birthday to celebrate. The cake is here. So our dear Arjun, who is a very wonderful son of our dear Sudarshan and Chitra. Chitra, please come forward. No, please come. No. So many of you know Arjun. Arjun is a very wonderful, very sweet devotee of Krishna. Chitra and Sudarshan, they are raising these 2 children, Krishna and Arjun. So his elder brother is called Krishna and he is called Arjun. And Arjun is very multi-talented. He plays drum. Are you still playing drums? He still plays a drum and a keyboard. And I think he knows how many shlokas of Bhagavad Gita? 7 chapters, my God. So Arjun is generally shy, but today he thinks you are the family member. So he's agreed to celebrate his birthday today with us. Thank you, Arjun, for coming today. Hare Krishna. You want to say something? 8th of July. Very well. Yeah. So we are in advance birthday. You want to say something?
No, maybe I'm fine. Thank you, Rohit. Thanks for all your blessings as well.
Arjun, you say thank you. Thank you, everybody. Yeah, Arjun is turning 19 on the coming Wednesday, so we thought we'll do a cake cutting here with the devotees, with our family. So thank you.
Hare Krishna. So let's chant very nice happy birthday for him. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna to dear Arjun. Hare Krishna to you. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. May you never take birth again. Hare Krishna to you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. There is anonymous birthday, we are told not to announce. So there is somebody else's birthday. So you can in your heart celebrate his or her birthday. Hare Krishna. I would say her birthday. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So please take Prashad Madam upstairs. Please make your way upstairs. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.